Hello, and welcome to this series of videos in which we will show you how to create apps and portals using the Silver Essence platform. In our last video, we opened up the online boarding manual and we created the database structure. So let's pick up where we left and start the portal. You have to enter your username and password here and then click the login button to get inside the portal. And as you can see, that's where we left off with the organization we entered. Click System Quick Editor and then we go to the Quick Editor tool. Enter your name and password again, and that's because we don't want everybody to make changes to the configuration. Last time from the tool selector we expanded the list and we picked the database editor. We created a number of tables and a number of views in our database. Tables and views that we need for the functionality of our service management portal. Now we go up to the tool selector and we select the database extractor. And here we are going to do the configuration. We are going to create lookups, base entities, and business controllers. Now, that might seem like a little bit abstract for you right now, but after this video, the use of those will be clear for you. So, let's start by creating lookups. Lookups are simple lists from which the user can pick data. For example, if you want to enter a service issue, you want to add it to a specific organization. Now, let's first hide all the tables and views that already have a lookup, and we select location. That doesn't have a lookup because we created it in the last video. Lookups need to have three columns. The first column is the column from the database which holds the value that should be stored when selecting this option. Most of the times that will be the primary key of that table. So in this case, location ID. Then we will need a code column and a description column. And these are the two columns that will be shown to the user when selecting data. So this will be the most recognizable columns. In this case, the location number and the name of the location. Click Create Lookup and the lookup will be created. Now we're going up here to the tool selector and we're going down here to mapping lookups. And here you can see the lookup configuration is created and you can do some fine tuning here, or you can compare it with other lookups and see where the difference is. So one other thing you can do here is test the lookup. On the top right you see the test button. Click the test button and you will see the screen from which the user later on can select. Now there's no data in here, so that's not really useful for the user yet, but in a few moments you will see it different there. So let's go back to the database extractor. We're going to create a lookup for some other tables we created. So for the service issues, I want to have a service issues lookup. Let's pick service issue ID. Let's pick the service issue number and let's pick the description here and then create lookup. Next will be service issue types. Service issue types will be the name for the lookup. The key column will be the service issue type ID, and the most recognizable columns here are code and description. Click Create Lookup and the lookup is created. Now let's go into the service objects and create the last lookup for that table. So the key column will be the service object ID, and we are going to show the object number and the description. So there you have it. We have created 4 simple selection lists through which the user can browse and select a value for input of data. Okay, let's go back to the database extractor. And now we are going to create some business controllers. And a business controller is a complete, fully functional screen where you can create, edit, modify, and delete data. So let's pick all the tables and views that do not have a business controller yet. So let's pick location. Now, this is one thing you need to know. A business controller, if you open up a single location, it should have a singular name called location. And for a list, it should have a plural name, so we're going to use locations. Now, create the business controller by clicking this button, and you can go directly into the locations screen here. And as said, you can click create button here and you can start entering data. So let's enter some test data, the central warehouse. And as you can see, we have the created and modified here. We don't want that, of course, but we're going to change that in one of the later videos here. We're going to create the central warehouse and it will be in Amsterdam. So click Save, and there you have it. You have a fully functional screen and you have entered the first data in your own table here. Oh yeah, I was going to show you the lookup. So let's go back here into the lookup and let's select the lookup we did for locations. Now, if we click the test button, you can see how it's going to look in the user interface later on, including the data we enter in the business controller. So that works fine. So let's go back to the database editor and let's create a business controller for the service issues. We're going to create a business controller for the service issue types. And we're going to create a business controller for the service objects. So service objects. And if we go to the business controller, here you can see we have a screen for service objects. And we can create and edit later on here. So that's pretty neat way to create screens very fast. Now we're going to create something we call base entities. And we're going to create base entities for the views. We're not going to create business controllers because we don't need a fully functional screen, but instead we're going to create a base entity X service issue, and we will make that part of the business controller service issues later on. So we're going to also create a base entity for the service issue types and for the X service object. So there you have it. Lookups, simple lists, base entities, data readers, and business controllers, fully functional screens there. When you're done configuring, go up here to save and apply the configuration.